part of a series of short videos on operator licensing and public inquiries. Today, I'm interviewing Peter Russell, transport consultant. I've worked with Peter for a number of years in preparing for public inquiries. Here we'll discuss some of the common problems he finds during his audits. He will undertake compliance audits for my clients and then appear as a witness in the inquiries. You've undertaken an awful lot of compliance audits on operator licensing. But first of all, if you could tell me a bit about your background in transport, how long have you been involved in the transport industry, and what sort of jobs have you done?
I've been doing audits since 2006 on a regular basis.
Would you say that the majority of those are as a result of undertakings on the licence or not?
I would say on reflection, it's probably about 80% of the time of the audits that I do relate to public inquiry or pre or post public inquiry activity, yeah.
Turning to the problems you encounter, in terms of maintenance, what are the common problems that you find?
The most regular maintenance problems are inspection scheduling issues where PMI schedules have been extended. Driver reportable defects are evident on the PMI sheets, which is showing an issue with the daily walk around check programme. Roller brake testing is often lacking. Record keeping tends to be an issue as well, in that the PMI sheets haven't been filled in correctly, or there's issues being omitted from the sheets, and general lacking daily walk around check procedures and training is all quite regular within maintenance.
Is that something that you've seen change over time, or has that been fairly constant for the last 15 years?
I think it's got worse in recent years. I think there's been an increase in knowledge and an increase in regulatory action being taken against operators that aren't complying in these respects. And so I think in that respect, it's getting worse.
In terms of the traffic side of things, what are the common driver's hours and tachograph problems you find?
Infringements and continuing infringements, driver's hours infringements and working time infringements are all commonplace. A lacking in debriefs by transport managers or operators, a lack of training sometimes in play, is sometimes evident. I see a lot of downloading errors or a failure to download the relevant data on a regular basis. There's frequent issues with missing mileage and time where a vehicle's been driven without a driver's card inserted in it, and things of that nature.
One thing I've come across is that companies get the drivers to simply sign driver infringement reports, but don't actually document the infringement meeting process. Is that a common problem that you encounter?
I do see a lot of that, yeah. They tend to play lip service to it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And as a result, then the driver doesn't benefit quite often because the issues aren't properly explained to him or her, and they don't receive the training that they need. So yes, I do believe it's quite a significant problem.
In terms of issues that you find, other than maintenance and driver's hours, what are other common problems that you encounter?
I think the other issue is where operators actually get things wrong with the vehicle, with the company, and they make errors when they change the entity and the actual operator license itself. Things like using self-employed drivers or using an operating centre which isn't authorised, or a change in company entity where they've changed from one entity to another and they've failed to notify the traffic area office, and things of that nature. I think there's a number of issues in respect of those as well.
Okay. From your experience of attending public inquiries, What would you say is some of the most common pet hates of traffic commissioners that you've experienced?
The three things that we've really covered are the big areas, I think, in public inquiries, and they are the pet hates. Operators who do use more vehicles than they're allowed to use, for example, or the wrong operating centre, and don't properly specify transport managers and vehicles and trailers on licences. So I think those three things are the big three things which the traffic commissioners actually take issue with.
Okay. From your experience, if you could give an operator 3 tips or suggestions to avoid being called to a public inquiry, what would they be?
I think auditing, external auditing is one of the main ones. I think training of staff is another very important aspect of it, and internal management, in that they have a management structure and they have procedures and policies which require adherence. So if they actually set out all the procedures required, then compliance is more likely to be achieved. So I think those are the three things mainly.
Nice to speak to you, Peter, and thank you for giving up your time to speak to us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.